everyone, welcome to the water element. Now in your module you should have a PDF that you can download that goes over the specific qualities of the water element, kidney and bladder channels, and how it's related to the first and second chakras. Now I have the same PDF and I'll be following along with you. And so if you haven't printed it out already, you can pause the video and print it out, or you can just go along with me. There's a lot of information here. So I'll be doing some reading from the paper because I don't want to miss anything. And then I'll be adding to that a little bit of extra information just for clarity. So let's begin. Just in general, the water element in the Chinese medicine 5-element system rules the bones, the marrow, brain and brain development, the reproductive organs, excretion of urine, growth and development, storage and utilization of energy in our reserves, and this is also our financial reserves. It holds intergenerational patterning, which would be the patterns that we received as a child growing up in our parents' home, and also houses our Jing or our essence, which could correlate also to genetics in a Western medicine sense. The primary relationship that is ruled by the water element is with our parents. The need of the mind that's related to the water element is certainty because of its relationship with safety and security. The emotional opposites that are ruled by the water element are fear and courage. The energy, as we talked about before, of the water element is sourced from the first and the second chakras. Now I did point out before that there is some overlap and there is some doubling down, particularly with the first two elements and the first two chakras, as you will see, or the first three. The time of day when the energies are moving the strongest through the bladder and kidney channel, well, through the bladder specifically, is from 3 to 5 p.m. and the kidney channel 5 to 7 p.m. So as the kidney is related to our reserves of energy, a lot of people find that afternoon time from 3 to 5 as a low energy time. And this is specifically related to the energy that you may have in that particular organ system, the kidney and bladder. So if you have a little bit of a dip of energy at that time of day, that may signal that the energy in your water element organs are a little bit low. Now, what can drain the kidney and bladder energy is overwork and stress. So many of us in this modern day experience this on a day-to-day basis. So it's not unusual or uncommon whatsoever to have that dip of energy and to have a little low energy in the kidney and bladder. But that's what we're going to cultivate here with these practices, is to help to increase and support those energies. So let's move on to talking about specifically how the kidney energy relates in the first chakra. So these particular energies lay the foundation for our level of consciousness, as they are related to our inherited constitution, our parents, and our survival mechanisms. So if we were born into an environment where our physical and emotional needs are taken care of, this frees the energy in these areas from a focus on basic survival to utilizing our will to develop a higher level of skill and a higher level of consciousness. The emotion that is common to both the kidney and bladder channels and the root chakra is fear. This can be a great catalyst for achievement if we have the courage to overcome these fears, but it can also keep us stuck in a lower level of consciousness, revolving around survival of the self without regard to how our actions affect the whole. Now, how we deal with fear and our need for security is very much driven by how it was for our parents. And I don't know if you could take a look at that or notice that the way that you deal with safety and security in your life very much correlates with your parents, or it could have been such a contrast growing up that you wanted to do it very, very differently. And like we talked about, that some of that contrast or experiences growing up can be a stimulus for change. And again, sometimes we do get stuck. And this can all be relative to the strength and energy in our first chakra and in the kidney and bladder. So moving on to urinary bladder. In the first chakra, so the bladder is the yang organ paired with the kidney. The yang organ represents the outer manifestation of the yin organ, or how the energies of the kidney and first chakra play out in the world. And now we'll talk about this relationship further as we go through the elements, but keep in mind that the yin energy is more represented in the subconscious mind, and the yang energies are represented in the outer world as physical manifestation or as our actions. And so with these practices, we're wanting to cultivate a congruency between the two, between our desires in the physical world and our internal energies. So sometimes what we desire is not necessarily manifested in the external world. And these blocks oftentimes are hidden in the yin energies or our subconscious mind. So continuing on, the yang energy represents the outer manifestation of how the energies of the kidney and first chakra play out in the world. A healthy balance between the kidney and bladder and first chakra allows us to take action according to our inherited gifts and talents with balance and success. If there is an imbalance, we may try to do more than we can handle and exhaust our reserves, or we get stuck in fear and play it safe, never fully realizing our potential. And so how an imbalance can manifest physically in the first chakra related to the kidney and bladder are low back pain, sciatica, knee pain, weakness in general, osteoporosis, recurrent bladder infections, kidney stones, arthritis, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, anxiety, excessive fear, recklessness, lethargy, lack of follow-through, and depression. So all of these physical manifestations can be a sign or symptom of decreased energy in the first chakra and the kidney and bladder. So oftentimes, just to correlate this in the real world, as an example, many times people that come into the clinic with low back pain or knee pain are also going through major changes in their foundation. So changes in their primary relationships, illness of a parent. It can also be a move or a change of physical environment, or a strong desire for a change of physical environment. It can also be a change in a job, any type of change that has to do with a major relationship or something that has to do with our foundation. And this I have seen correlated time and time again in the real world in the clinic. And so just take a look. If you do have any of these symptoms, can you relate it to the same period of time when you're having challenges financially or with your base relationships? Okay, so a couple more things to cover. The kidney, as it's related to the second chakra, because there is some overlap here. The kidneys store our essence, also known as the Jing. Our essence is the sum of the gifts we are born with that allow us to live our highest potential. Our gifts are sourced from our creativity, which is ruled by the second chakra. Balanced kidney energy allows our creative energy to flow and our gifts to develop. The kidneys also hold our intergenerational patterning, which oftentimes brings in challenges we must overcome on our path. Overcoming these challenges can strengthen our will and unlock our gifts. Fear or lack of willpower can prevent us from expressing our full potential, causing imbalance in our second chakra and kidney and bladder. And another action of the kidneys in the second chakra is procreation, the gifts of having a child. Bringing another life into the world should be thought of as a gift and not as a duty or just something that everybody does. It is important in this stage of the evolution of humanity to educate potential parents on the importance of preparation and thoughtfulness in this process. And I can attest to this. I definitely wanted to have children, but I must say once I had my first, I was shocked at how much I felt like I needed to know and I wasn't prepared for, and started devouring parent books left and right. So if you are wanting to go down that path, if you haven't already and are planning to, it's a really good idea to look at your resources and really decide how you want to parent your child before they come into the world, because you might be otherwise fall into parenting like your parents parented you, and if that's not something that you desire, then it's really good to decide what type of parent you're going to be to your child, just to create a difference in their life, create a foundation like you would have had versus what you had if there was some contrast or difficulties there. And let's see, bladder in the second chakra. A healthy balance in the bladder organ is associated with the second chakra, facilitates manifesting our gifts in the physical world. And this again would include procreation. The second chakra is often associated with how things flow in our lives. So another way to look at this relationship would be to observe how easily our creative endeavors flow from ideas into form. And so physical symptoms, when there's challenges or blocks in this area, might be any disharmony that has to do with the reproductive system, which would include infertility, impotence, decreased sexual desire, bladder or kidney disease, depression, lack of motivation, and anxiety. And so one of the things that you can also look at, as we just discussed, the whole idea of parenting and how these energies can be produced through the bladder in the external world, is if there's an incongruency there between, maybe fears around parenting or the unknowns around parenting, or how becoming a parent may change your relationship with your spouse, these may be some subconscious blocks to the ability to have a child. And you may be all in your heart, I definitely want to have a child. It may be a very strong desire, and these subconscious blocks may be exactly that, subconscious, may be not on your radar at all. And so through these practices, you can begin to explore on a deeper level what energies are playing out internally so that you can manifest more easily in the external world. And so that wraps up the general energies of the water element, kidney and bladder channels related to the first and the second chakra as the source energy for the water element. So next up is the actual physical practices that are going to help us create balance and flow in this element. And I'll see you on the mat.